Welcome to episode 3, a conversation with a serial entrepreneur, Art Espy, Managing Director of Lighthouse Labs, a startup accelerator located in Virginia. Before we get to the interview, I'd like to discuss a few other things. First, I want to express my gratitude to my community. Since the launch of this podcast, I've received great and insightful feedback from folks. Some unsolicited, but nonetheless appreciated. And I hope to implement some of the feedback that I did receive. But it brings me to another topic that I want to discuss. I know a lot of people who have expressed to me, "Oh, Marlon, I would like to start my own podcast, but this reason or that reason, I'm waiting and I want to do this and I'm waiting for this." Or, "Marlon, I really wanted to start this new business, but I'm waiting for this and I'm trying to get this, I'm doing that." And I've said to every single one of these people who've approached me, why not now? Why wait? What are you waiting for? Well, I need to get my material right. I need to get this. I need to do this, and I'm waiting for that. Okay. But are you sure that those are not just excuses? Are you sure that's not the fear that's holding you back? Are you sure that those reasons are really legitimate? Or are you just happy saying that I'm going to do something, as opposed to actually doing it? You know, I understand. I wanted to do a podcast for at least a year before I did it. And I was concerned with, did I have enough to talk about? Was anyone listening to me? Will I speak and enunciate everything properly? Will I live up to, the status of a lawyer? I came up with all these reasons why I couldn't do it right then, wouldn't do it right now. And, I realized that I was too caught up in thinking about me. And I wasn't thinking about the real reason I wanted to do it. And the reason I wanted to do a podcast, because I believe that what I have to say and people who can come on my podcast and what they have to say can help so many people. Because I believe there's a lot of business owners out here who need this information, who need to be inspired, who need to be motivated, who need to be informed. And every day that I waited and every month that I gave myself an excuse not to do it was that one business owner that was not getting that information that they could have used in July, could have used in February of last year. Because I was too caught up in worrying about trying to be perfect and how I'm going to do this podcast. So I asked those people who have come to me and said, "Oh, I was thinking about doing this and I want to do it." I'm going to challenge you who may be listening to this podcast. Why wait? Why keep the value that you have all to yourself? Why not share that with people and others who can benefit from that? Why keep it all to yourself? The Nike commercial or the Nike slogan works. That's why it's been around for so many years. Just do it. It won't be perfect. You'll make adjustments. But just do it, because what you have to offer is way more important than how you will present it, and if your presentation is not completely perfect. And finally, know the distinction between criticism and critique. You cannot grow as a person, and you cannot grow as a business without the willingness to be critiqued. Because when you are being critiqued and when you're being critiqued, you are getting information from a good place. Someone is trying to help you be better at whatever it is you're trying to do. Right? When someone is criticizing you, they're not trying to make you better. They're trying to bring you down. And you just have to ignore those folks. It's okay. It's okay. It will happen. But you just have to ignore those people, and you just got to keep going. Because you got to understand what your purpose is. What is your message? What are you ultimately trying to do? Who are you trying to ultimately help? Who are you trying to ultimately touch? And you stay laser focused on that. Right? But just do it. I'm honest. If I can do this, you can do this. Whether you want to do a podcast, whether you want to open up a coaching business, whether you want to open up a flower shop, whatever it is, you can do it. I'm really excited to bring you my interview series titled A Conversation With. These interviews, as well as all podcasts, can be seen on our YouTube channel at the Griffith Law Group. My first interviewee is Art Espy, a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur. This podcast may not be very long, but just like Art, not a lot of words, but it's a whole lot of information. Hope you enjoy. Look forward to your feedback. Now let's get to this episode, conversation with a serial entrepreneur, Art Espy. This conversation was short, about power pack. And if you know Art, it's consistent. Doesn't say much, but in a few words, he says a lot. I hope you enjoy. Look forward to your feedback. Welcome to the next episode of Kicking Ass and Taking Names, a podcast for small and mid-sized business owners on life, business, and the law. Today, I'm so honored to have my first interviewee, Art Espy. Now, before I tell you about Art, let me tell you how we met. We actually met at a cigar lounge. The good brother was sitting there enjoying a cigar and enjoying the game. I happened to sit down next to him, and we eventually engaged in a conversation. Before I go forward, I have to admit, I do smoke cigars. My mother doesn't know that, but I guess once she views this, she'll find out. And Mom, I swear, that's all I smoke. That's all I smoke. But nonetheless, Art and I just started, just rapping like two good brothers rap. And in our conversation, I was like, Art, you would be a great guest for my podcast. You have so much to share. You have so much experience. Now, I'm going to tell you, because Art said this to me 3 or 4 times in our conversation. I'm a very private person, Marlon. I don't really want to be in front of a camera. I just do what I do behind the scenes. I said, I appreciate it, Art, but I think what you have to say, so many people in my audience would really benefit from what you have to say. And the genesis of it came from, as we were speaking, and we were talking, I said, all right, so many of us are like what I call first generation business owners, where we're kind of learning as we go. We didn't have the opportunity to sit in the corner of a room while our dads or our mothers or somebody else was doing business. We were kind of learning just from osmosis from being in that environment. And I said, I believe a podcast like this gives folks an opportunity to kind of sit in the room now and listen and learn. And it kind of resonated with Art. And I really appreciate that he is now here to share what is years of experience in his knowledge. So with that, I introduce to you Art Espy. Now, Art, and I'm going to read this, Art. I apologize, but it's on the website. Art is currently the managing director of Lighthouse Labs, which is, and I have him explain what Lighthouse Labs is, but it's basically an entrepreneur. It funds entrepreneurs at the startup phase. But I will read from the Virginia Business Magazine about Art's appointment to managing director. Espy is a serial entrepreneur and has experience in the full life cycle of startups. His background includes work in healthcare, analytics, manufacturing, and construction. He also has experience in strategic leadership, private equity, diversity consulting, mergers and acquisitions, and business development. Additionally, he served as an officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. He has earned degrees from the United States Merchant Marine Academy, Eastern Michigan University, and the University of Virginia. Espy sits on the Virginia Biotech Partnership Authority Board of Directors and was formerly vice chair of the American Red Cross in the southeastern Michigan. And with that, Art, the floor is yours. Tell me, why are you a serial entrepreneur?
Freedom. I'm a serial entrepreneur because it allows you freedom. It allows you to live the life that you choose if you're willing to work your behind off to do it. And freedom comes in a lot of different ways and it means different things to different people. But it's really, for me personally, it means the latitude to do what I need to do to enjoy time with my family. And that means a whole lot of different things. Again, it means different things to different people. As managing director of Lighthouse Labs, this, quite frankly, Marlon, is the first job I've had this century. So when you look at it that way, um, the ups and downs of business, because we all have ups and downs when we're in business. Some days are up, 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 up. Some days are down, 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 down. Most days are grind, 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 grind. But in that, it allows the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it once you get to a certain stage. That doesn't mean that at the beginning of the startup phase, you don't work 20 hours a day, which is probably an exaggeration. Probably 12 to 16 is more like it in some cases. But it does at some point allow you to have the flexibility of your schedule, have the flexibility of your location, and really support what you want to do and what your family wants to do, more so than having a day job.
Understood. So it's a pursuit of freedom, and freedom is happiness
For me.
for you.
Hmm.
And you have now, in your current position as managing director, can you speak to us a little bit about what Lighthouse Labs do?
Yeah, so Lighthouse Labs is a nationally recognized startup accelerator that's located in Central Virginia, and we work with companies from all over the nation. Currently, we have about 120 companies in our portfolio that have been through our program over the last approximately 10 or 11 years or so. We run 2 cohorts per year. Next cohort starts in March. Excuse me, 8 companies per cohort, usually 6 to 8 companies per cohort. And what we do is we put them through an 11-week program, 11-week hybrid program where the first and last weeks are in person here in Central Virginia, and the middle 9 weeks are virtual. And we pair them with mentors, we pair them with potential investors. I mean, we'll really help them understand the dynamics of their business, how to raise capital, how to develop systems and processes at the early stage upon which to build a foundation of their business and take it to the next level. Over the last few years, we've migrated from very, very early stage companies to what I would call mid early stage companies. And those are companies that have some traction, have they're post revenue, so already have revenue. They're way past the ideation stage, and they're starting to develop some early stage systems and processes.
All right, so I know exactly what you are talking about, but some of my audience may not. When you speak of cohorts, what are you referring to?
That's based. Think of a cohort as a group of in our case, a group of companies. So it's think of it as a class.
Okay. And if I you can share whatever you like about the specifics, but what exactly are when these companies participate in the cohorts in the program? What are they learning? What does that look like?
So we put them through that 11 weeks. We cover all of the foundational topics of business in different weeks. We have topical weeks, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, because there is a difference between marketing and sales. Um, HR, developing your HR systems, things of that nature, developing your operation systems, whatever that might be, because that means different things for different businesses and different industries. And let me just say that Lighthouse Labs is industry agnostic. In other words, we don't have a specific industry niche that we focus on. We have companies in fintech, we have companies in insurtech, we have companies that are in health tech. The one common thing is they have to have high growth potential, which, if you're at the very, very early stages of your company, comes down to intent. And that, Marlon, is one of the things that you and I talked a lot about, um, both when we met and some of the calls leading up to this podcast, is the intent of the founder or founders in establishing their business.
Yeah,
Many of us,
yeah. Let's explore that.
yeah, many of us set up businesses, small businesses that are limited either geographically or conceptually just because of the way that we structure them. I see technology as an enabler, and that enabler allows you to grow your business and make just about any business a high growth business with the right intent. And intent can help you identify the right resources, the right relationships to help you grow that business.
Now, is a phrase that you used when we spoke about the two, and it's maybe more than two, but the two specific types of intent when someone starts a business, and I believe it was the intent to make income, or I think it was the attempt to sell. I might be using different words, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, so there are lifestyle businesses that cover, kind of support us and allow us to survive, and in some cases thrive. And then there are high growth businesses, businesses that you intentionally found, develop, grow in order to sell and create what's typically called generational wealth in some extents.
And I'm gonna see if I can also maybe add that in a different way. Some businesses you set up to support your lifestyle, your family. It's basically
Mhm.
replacing your day job type of business.
Correct, correct.
And
And in
and
some
some
cases,
businesses
it
you set
becomes a
up.
day
I'm
job.
sorry. Go ahead.
In some cases, those businesses become a day job because if you're not working, the business might not be working.
Right.
Whereas a high growth business, you're developing systems and processes upon which that are built upon this foundation of the business. And at the end of the day, if you, the founder or the leader of the business, are away, the business is still operating, still generating revenue. And hopefully, revenue is translating into potential income.
Exactly. And speaking of that second type of business, the business that you build it to potentially sell, right? So a lot of people create businesses with the intent to have it go to a point where they can sell that business,
Correct.
right? And I think we
Correct.
were speaking about, and that may impact, for example, one of the things that impacts is the formation of your business,
Oh,
whether
exactly.
you're an LLC or whether you're a corporation. Now I can get into the legalese, but that's not what I want to do. Tell me how, for you as a potential investor, what difference would it make to you whether the business is an LLC or whether the business is a corporation that has shares, for example?
So a LLC, is basically a member-based organization, and there's a whole lot of good for LLCs, and there's a whole lot of challenges for LLCs if you're developing a high growth business. High growth businesses are usually C corps, particularly investors don't invest in LLCs typically. Now there's some exceptions to that. However, very few investors that I know of actively invest in LLCs. Typically, they invest in C corps. C corps can issue shares. LLCs issue memberships. There's a whole bunch of tax and legal ramifications, as you probably know better than I do, being that you're an attorney that deals with businesses on a day-to-day basis. But the Cliffs Notes version of that is that if you're building a business for high growth, an LLC probably limits you,
When it relates to being able to sell that business, you're saying, or have
or
investors
even
coming to
raise
the
capital,
or raise
or
capital.
even raise capital.
Right.
Very, very few investors, unless they want to be active members of the business, very, very few investors, particularly passive investors, will invest in a LLC. Whereas
Sorry.
whereas a C corp, you can invest in a C corp. Shares are issued. It's a lot easier to, as an investor who wants to be passive, who wants to monitor the investment versus participate in the operation of the business. A C corp, typically for an outside investor, and also particularly for most high growth potential businesses, are C corps.
Now, I'm sure one of the questions I'm sure some of my audience may have is how do I position beyond the formation, obviously, of my business? How would I position myself? How can I best position myself to be a attractive candidate, either for someone to invest in my company, or for someone or for my company to be purchased?
So, depending on the stage you're at, um, early on, I would say one tool that's commonly used, and it's been around probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years, probably more, is the business model canvas, which gives you 9 basic factors to look at in your business and think through and identify as you're building the foundation of your business. That's a good start. Even if I know business people that have very, very strong, solid revenue businesses that use the business model canvas, the 9 modules of the business model canvas, to review the viability of their business continuously going forward. Actually, one of my mentors keeps an old-fashioned, um, not billboard, but tripod with an old placard of a business model canvas, and he uses sticky post-it notes on it and keeps that in his office to keep him on. And he says that keeps him honest.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Let's talk misfits. Now, my audience doesn't may not know, obviously, that Art is an author. Right? That's why he's laughing. And you know you're an author when when you're on Amazon. And yes, Art, I did buy the book, right?
Well, thank you for buying the book.
But let's talk. You have
Myself and my publisher appreciate you.
you are the more than welcome. Uh, you have a series entitled the Misfit Champions Sustainable Business Series. That's your, and we'll talk about exactly what that is in a minute. But I was reading, and I was reading one of your the introductions in the book,
Which one did you
and
buy, by the way? I think we've got
yeah,
5 books out. I don't remember.
I have the one, the business basics, building a culture.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I think that
I
was
think
our
you have
second or
five books.
third one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you have five in your
Okay.
series,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking at building the culture, but I'm going to read exactly how you all describe how the series is described, and I'm going to let you use your own words. The Misfit Champions Sustainable Business Series is designed for the busy, focused small business owner or entrepreneur. It brings proven ideas, tips, and thought processes from seasoned entrepreneurs and subject matter experts to help lead businesses to the next level. The series wastes no time on standalone theory. It delves directly into practical implementation strategies that bridge theory and practice and provide practical tools that are proven to help build sustainable businesses and business models beyond anyone's dream. That got my attention, right? That got my attention. Build business beyond my own dreams. So now, in your own words, what is this series, and
So,
why did you do it?
for a number of different reasons, but let me tell you why I named it Misfit Champions. Successful business owners are misfits. Most of their peers, particularly if you're a startup founder, most of your peers have corporate jobs or jobs for other businesses. When you begin to start thinking about an entrepreneur or thinking as an entrepreneur and as a founder, you separate yourself from the crowd. You've now become a in a smaller subset of our society. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but very, very few have what it takes, the determination, the focus, the stick-to-itiveness to really be an entrepreneur through all of the ups and downs that we mentioned earlier, to going through the grind on a day-to-day basis. So you're a misfit because you don't fit, you're a square peg in a round hole, and you're a champion because you're building your business and you're taking charge and you're taking lead, not only of your business, but of your own life. So that's why we call the series Misfit Champions. And I've had the opportunity, one or two of the books are written by me, but mostly I've had the opportunity to have some great co-authors in writing books in the series who really understand some of the internal dynamics of the businesses and are doing some great things in their own right.
Awesome. So let me bring you to the one of the books that particularly caught my attention, and particularly the introduction. This one obviously is as I said, the sustainable business basics, building a culture, right? And you say I mean you say in the introduction, and you know what? In art, I would say this, when I met you, and I hope this comes across in this interview. And I don't call this is really, this is a discussion. It's not an interview, right? We're just talking,
Yeah, just having a
right?
chat.
Um,
What we're missing
and
is
you
cigars and
are
drinks,
very
but we're
soft
just having a
spoken.
chat.
You're having a chat, right? And this is not,
Yeah.
but you're kind of very like a soft spoken individual, right? And as far as your tonality, your tone, you're soft spoken, but what comes out of your mouth is very strong. You hear what I'm saying?
Mm,
And and what
thank
I
you.
like
Thank you for that
personally,
compliment. Thank
yeah,
you.
because and that's and what I like personally is when someone can be consistent in the shadows as they are in the light,
Mm,
right?
hmm
And you spoke a certain way that obviously was attractive to me and got us engaged in conversation. And I read the intro to this particular series, building the culture. And you're right. I'm going to skip around. I said this book is a primer on culture. It includes some how-to do's, don'ts, and what's for of how to build a company culture that you can be proud of. A culture where team members strive to excel by whatever standard you set. If you don't, if you don't want to build a creative, goal-oriented, collaborative environment called Nirvana in some industries, then this info isn't for you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, hey, this is how. If this is what you want, Nirvana, then this is what you need to read, right? And you say it, and I'm asking you to to kind of expound on it a little bit. But that's kind of how, as far as my interaction with you, you're kind of very much of a matter of fact, soft spoken, but matter of fact individual. You agree with that assessment?
Life is short. How much time do you have for BS?
See, they're my man. See, they're my man.
Well,
See, why? That's why you're the perfect. You're the perfect guest for a podcast named "Kicking Ass and Taking Names." Right?
yeah, I mean, we
That's
got a
what you
certain amount of
said.
time. Life is short. Enjoy life. You know, so
And let
why
me
waste
finish.
time?
But
Let's
let me
get to the
finish.
point.
Yes, right. But let me finish what you say in this introduction. Right? Because this is really the kicker. If that's the case, the theoretical treatise on startup culture that are 180 pages long and give you a sense of accomplishment just because you read them, and there are plenty of these books out there, are more your speed. There is a place for those books, but this ain't the place, huh?
No,
So,
well, so we wrote this series with the intent of founders and entrepreneurs don't have a lot of time, or they shouldn't have a lot of time. Um, these books give you quick, pointed. I think the longest is about 120 pages, only because it had to be for HR or something like that.
Yes, the
But
HR
most of the
one.
books are about 70, 75 pages, quick reads to give you the synopsis. Um, there's a friend of mine here, and I live in Central Virginia. And there's a friend of mine here who's the president of his YPO chapter. YPO is Young Presidents Organization. I used to be in YPO years ago, probably 15, close to 20 years ago, actually. At YPO, your business has to be doing north of 10 million. You have to be asked to be a member. It's a very exclusive international group. Um, he recently bought or has came into possession of copies of each of the books. And his comment to me was, Art, this is the best business primer I've seen in a while. It gets right to the point, tells a story of entrepreneurship. And I think he was commenting about the first book in the series. I think it was called Post Demo Day, Now What? And for those of
I think I lost you, Art. Not, yeah.
okay, we back?
There we go. There we go. See that, and it's.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, so I think the first book was called Post Demo Day, Now What? And for those of you who don't know, demo days are kind of the seminal event of accelerators where the companies come out and make their pitch, their investor pitch. So after that, in an accelerator, now what do? The accelerator's over. Now you're going out to totally focus 100% on your business using your newly gained skills. This book kind of tells you a little bit about what your adventure might look like and give you some do's, don'ts, some tips, things of that nature. Some of it is experiential. Some of it is not theory based, but a combination of other experiences and other concepts that successful entrepreneurs have used at different points.
Awesome, awesome. Well, look, I promised you, and you are a very busy man, and you were kind enough to give me some of your time that I can share you with my audience. But I did promise you that I would keep you under 30 minutes because you did ask how long is this going to be, Marlon? And listen, when somebody asks you how long something's going to be, they don't want it to be long. They don't want it to be
Right.
long.
Right.
And and I'm looking at it, and we are just about under the 30-minute mark. So I want to wrap it up, and I have two questions, two questions to end. If you were going to give a bit of business advice to someone, beyond whatever he said in this interview, what would it
Hmm.
be?
Be authentic to yourself so that you can use your business to establish your own freedom, and don't be scared. Don't let fear dictate what you're doing. There's always a way, no matter what business problem you run into, somebody somewhere has experienced that, solved it, and come out of the other end successful. Seek them out, seek that knowledge out. There is always a way, and that would
Awesome.
be the things I would leave with.
Oh, awesome. That's great. And the final question is, so Zali, again, what is your favorite cigar? Or does it depend?
It de it depends. Right now, I'm having some fun with some flavored cigars. Actually, I think when we had a
Okay.
discussion, I know you. So the fat bottom Bettys and the
Yeah.
leather
Mm-hmm.
roses and the tobacs, those are
Okay.
some of my favorites this year.
Okay.
And that'll change over time, but right now that's where my taste buds are taking me.
Awesome. Awesome.
Look
Well,
forward to
that's
having one
it.
with you soon.
If you are a small business owner, tired of losing sleep at night, or tired of getting your ass kicked, and need a trusted advocate in your corner, give my team a call at 202-499-5160 and schedule a free consultation with me. Let's talk.